Hello, I'm Angeline and welcome to Beat the Street, the show that gives you all the tradable news and data you need ahead of the Wall Street Open. Coming up, US stocks pointing to a rebound. They are indicated higher after that abrupt sell-off, which snapped the Santa rally. But is it just a blip, and could it still continue? Or are we at the start of a longer-term downtrend? Micron shares in focus because Micron all sessions on the IG platform rising after forecasting second quarter revenues above Wall Street estimates. And we're also watching Boeing for you. Boeing reportedly set to deliver its first Dreamliner to China since April 2021. Now, good afternoon. I'm Angeline Ong, and welcome to this new edition of Beat the Street. Now, not long now before Wall Street starts trading, before I show you the markets, we just got this economic data that we're waiting on, key data just trickling through. GDP in terms of the final reading for the third quarter out of the US, you were expecting 5.2%. It was slightly lower than expected, 4.9%. And in terms of the core PCE, and also we're still waiting on that for tomorrow, of course. Initial jobless claims, however, has come out now, and we were looking out for 215,000. We got 205,000, so just slightly lower than expected, suggesting the US jobs market still remains pretty robust. Now, we've just got the core PCE out now. This is the final reading, Q3, looking out for 2.3%. We got 2.0%, so 2% lower than expected. So pretty robust figures there. Let's just have a look to see whether there's any sort of reaction. They were roughly in line with expectations. This is a view of Wall Street, which mirrors the Dow Jones Industrials. It is tracking just ever slightly higher than where it was before those numbers came through. Let's check on the volatility. Still very low there, around 15.7, didn't move at all. Now, what's been key, and everyone's talking about this, of course, is that sell-off, which was pretty surprising mid-afternoon because it happened suddenly. No one out there really knows quite what the trigger was, first of all, but there has been a lot of talk as to whether or not this was spurred on by some sort of exhaustion or some sort of technicals in place. To find out a bit more, earlier I caught up with Chris Beecham, IG chief market analyst. I began by asking him what he thought was behind the tumble and whether this was a blip or part of a bigger trend.
After their smooth move higher over the past 2 months, US markets hit what can best be described as a pocket of volatility in yesterday's trading with sharp losses for the Dow. No real reason we can see for the move. It could just be the fabled profit taking in ahead of that Christmas break. Certainly thin liquidity across the board in markets can exacerbate these moves to the downside. Of course, you have to say, with markets having enjoyed a strong run since the end of October, the temptation to book some profits at these levels will probably be felt very strongly amongst institutional investors and retail investors too. So that probably caused the move to the downside. And with thin trading likely to persist until the end of the year, investors should continue to be on the lookout for these sudden movements.
Chris Beecham there, IG's chief market analyst. Now, speaking of Christmas, what an early Christmas present for those who trade Micron Technologies, because if you caught it the right way around, then you are in the money. Micron shares all sessions on the IG platform, rising 2.5% at the moment after reporting better earnings and sales for its fiscal Q1. And it also gave a stronger than expected forecast. The loss was also lower than anticipated, and the trend is in place now for 3 quarters. From a $1.91 loss in the second quarter, Micron saw it improving to $1.43 in Q3 and $1.07 loss 3 months ago. Revenues coming in at $4.7 billion, its biggest since the fourth quarter of 2022. Now, these results are reflecting or suggesting a recovery in the memory market, or at least the beginnings of a recovery. Micron's CEO said yesterday in a conference call that demand for flash storage and DRAM should keep improving next year. Supply will approach normal levels in the first half of 2024. This means that memory prices will also improve next year and rise further in 2025. These are memory chips. AI also boosting demand for Micron's high bandwidth memory chips. And Micron is expecting losses to continue, though, shrinking at a faster pace. So still losses, but shrinking at a faster pace than analysts had thought. On an adjusted basis, the company expects a loss of 28 cents a share, plus or minus 7 cents. Q2 revenues seen at $5.3 billion. Now, like the rest of the market, Micron's shares, as you can see here, suffered early on in 2022 to the end of around September, December 2022. But as you can see here, it has been in this upward trend channel since around the beginning of this year, and it has been pushing upward since then. And these results and the forecast will help it continue to push upwards, no doubt. Now, Nike expected to post a rise in sales, but on lower earnings. Earnings are forecast to fall by 1.2% to 84 cents a share. Revenues should also reach $13.4 billion, up from $13.3 billion a year ago. The economic environment still remains challenging, though. In the context of still high inflation, the group continues to struggle with slowing consumer demand. To offset this, Nike is lowering its prices. If discounts help to support sales and keep inventories under control, it, however, does hurt margins. Nike's earnings will also give us a good idea of how this year's holiday shopping season is shaping up. Just looking at Nike's shares ahead of the open, we have all sessions. Nike is an all sessions stock. So you can trade this on the IG platform before the cash open, and it is currently up around 0.25%. Just also checking on Tesla for you, because this is one that our clients really trade quite a bit. Tesla currently heading higher all sessions as well, up 1.3%, even though Tesla is facing a probe by Norway's traffic safety regulator. This is into suspension failures in the company's electric cars that could lead to a recall. So all this happening, but Tesla shares are rising despite that. Now, one stock that we are watching very closely for you, Boeing, its shares are currently rising all sessions on the IG platform, 1.3% higher there. This coming after Boeing, according to a source quoted by Reuters, Boeing is set to restart the deliveries of its Dreamliner to China within days. Now, the reason why this is so important is that it could also end a more than a 4-year freeze on deliveries of Boeing's profit-making 737 MAX. For those of you that watch this space closely, quite a few years ago, Boeing, Airbus, one bet on long-haul, bigger airplanes. Boeing bets on smaller, shorter haul, more fuel efficient. And it looks like Boeing is looking like it's right to make that bet. However, it did have issues with quite a few of its aircraft, as you know. However, it looks like, according to these sources quoted by Reuters, Boeing could start quite soon delivering its 787 Dreamliner to China. And NIO is one other stock that we are watching for you as well in the car space. NIO has had a lot of traction in the last few sessions. Also, in terms of volatility, we've seen this stock all sessions move quite a bit, but still within that trend channel there between around 725 and 913 in the last few sessions. This chart here, I'm showing this to you because it's Hong Kong listed shares and also the Chinese EV makers listed in Hong Kong. They moved after news that Chinese electric vehicle makers, there was a report saying that they were discussing the US tariff hike. Now, the Biden administration in the US is looking to see, and these are what the talks are about, to raise tariffs on some Chinese goods, including EV vehicles. But at the moment, it doesn't seem to be affecting the ADRs whatsoever, although it did pull down and weigh on the EV makers that are listed in Hong Kong. And just before we go, a quick look at oil prices, because we have had quite a few days of volatility. Just looking at US crude here for you, especially given what's been happening on the broader stock markets. Oil prices steadying on Thursday. Brent trading around 80 a barrel. This is WTI here, around 73. This is on high inventories and record output in the US, which offset those concerns over global trade disruptions in the Red Sea. Now, before we go, let's have a last look at how the market is looking for you. Just pulling up Wall Street there, which you can trade on the IG platform. This mirrors the Dow Jones Industrials, and we are looking at indications of a rebound since the rally was snapped yesterday, but no one quite knows why just yet. And that's it for this edition of Beat the Streets, the show that follows the trading action, helping you position yourself ahead of the opening bell. For more trading insight, do follow me on @Angeline on Twitter. This is IGTV.